You've heard of degreeing a camshaft, but what does it mean and how does it affect power? Well, that's what you're going to find out on this episode of Engine Masters, plus Dulcich's personal quest to make 400 horsepower from our 440. It's low buck, it's low compression, it's straight out of a motorhome. Can he do it? Stay tuned to find out.
My 440 is back. Now this is a stock motorhome 440 and we tested it on Engine Masters. It didn't really make the power I was hoping for, but I think I might be able to improve on it by messing with the cam timing. Now what's that? Well, it has a big effect on power and I'll start with the basics. Here's the exhaust lobe, and imagine this is the intake lobe. I'm going to first talk about something different than cam timing, and that's the lobe separation angle. When the cam is made, there's a certain angle between the intake and exhaust lobes. And basically, if I wiggle my hands like that, this would be a narrow lobe separation, and this would be wide. But once the cam is ground, that spec is set. However, how the cam's installed in the engine is called the installed center line angle. A lot of people will confuse those two terms, but the installed center line angle is where the cam is parked in relation to the crankshaft. Now, why is that important? Because the crankshaft controls the piston position, and where the cam is in relationship to the crank is going to control how the valves are opening and closing in relation to the piston. Our test engine here, you might have seen on a previous episode of Engine Masters, it's a stone stock motorhome 440. As a matter of fact, the bottom end and the cylinder heads have not been touched. The factory pistons here are 156 in the hole. What it means is this pooch has 7.2 to 1 compression, and that's bad. Now, we did do a little modification program on this engine. In that particular episode, we put on an Edelbrock Performer RPM intake manifold. We ran this same Brawler carburetor, and we installed a comp thumper cam. It's a pretty hot street grind. It's got 227, 241 degrees duration at 50, and that's not bad. Now the camshaft was installed at 101 degree installed center line, and it's ground on 107 degree lobe separation. That's a heck of a lot of advance, 6 degrees, and the engine turned out to be kind of a pooch. It made 381 horsepower at a paltry 4,900 RPM. And honestly, I just wasn't all that happy with it. I'm hoping that by dialing in the cam's installed center line, I might be able to improve on that. I'd like to see this thing make 400 horsepower. I'm not sure it's going to get there no matter where we put the cam, but we're going to roll it into the dyno and find out.
Brule, I don't know if you've heard, but Dulcich has a new nickname.
Really?
The dog catcher.
Come on. What do you mean?
The 440 is a pooch.
No, seriously.
I took the collar off this morning so we could run.
Brule! Come on, man. Have a little respect. That's 440 cubic inches of Mopar power right there.
381 horsepower. You know, to be fair, this thing only makes 381 horsepower, but I'm the guy saying this cheap 440 motorhome engine package is actually pretty good for a drive-around muscle car. What does it make for torque? 470 something?
470, yeah.
Yes, and at low RPM. Even though it's not up to your standards as far as horsepower per cubic inch, I still think it's a good engine for the typical guy. All right, well, what we're gonna do now is run the baseline on this thing and see exactly why we are criticizing this engine, which I say is not that bad, and Dulcich can't stand it. So here we go. And this, by the way, is with a 107 lobe separation angle, and it's in at 101, so it's 6 degrees advanced.
Lobe center line?
Yeah.
And here's the thing about that. I mean, I thought that would be good because it's low compression and that would favor mid-range and low-end torque.
Closing the intake valve earlier to capture more compression.
Yes, but I think maybe that might have been too much. And that's really why I wanted to do this test. See what would happen with the different setting on that camshaft.
It's already a small cam. Then you go way forward with it. It's just not going to have any engine speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see.
Here we go.
coming in.
Might have picked up 1 or 2 horsepower.
Oh, no, I thought I saw an 85 there, but we'll see
Yeah.
what the numbers tell us.
Oh, that is not bad.
467.2 pound-feet of torque and 384 horsepower. Well, that 4,900 RPM power peak, I think, is an indicator that it's too far advanced.
Yeah.
And it also could be the heads are very
Turtly.
small
And it has no compression.
and they're stock.
And they're stock. So when a camshaft is advanced, it tends to favor low-end performance, and when it's retarded, it tends to favor higher-end performance. So at this point, I guess we have to show everybody both sides of what happens with advance and retard, so we're actually gonna go out there on the cam that's way too far advanced.
And advance it more.
And advance it more. We're gonna put another 4 degrees in-ish, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's gonna be good.
Yeah,
It's gonna be weird.
It's gonna be weird.
It's gonna be so bad it'll be good.
Hey, we should make one point though, which is if you're doing this on your own engine, you really need to check valve to piston clearance.
Right.
Because moving the camshaft around can affect that a lot. But on this particular motorhome 440, where the pistons are how far in the hole?
154 thousandths.
There is no chance that a valve's ever gonna hit a piston. So this is the perfect engine for this test. Ready?
All right, let's go to work.
Let's do it. Now these guys have exposed the timing, chain, and gear set, which can give you a better visual representation of what we're going to do as far as advancing and retarding the camshaft. Remember that when we give numbers as far as advance or retard, like when we say it's installed at 101, that is the position of the center line of the intake lobe in relation to the degrees of rotation of the crankshaft. You usually don't worry about that. You line up the dots here on the timing set, but this particular timing set has 9 different keyways in it so that you can move the cam around. Here's how that's going to work. Imagine the crankshaft staying in position right where it is, but we're going to rotate the camshaft either forward or backwards. Obviously, because the engine rotates clockwise from the front, if we roll this clockwise, it's going to advance the cam. If we roll it this way, it's going to retard the cam. When you advance it, you make all of the valve events happen sooner. When you retard it, they all happen later as it relates to the piston position.
Changing the cam timing will also sometimes change the pressure in the cylinder, and the main reason is it changes when the intake valve closes. Having a lot of advance like we have now will close the intake valve earlier, and remember, you don't capture any compression until the intake valve closes. So, Steve-O, are you ready with the gauge?
Yep.
I'm gonna open the throttle so we don't have any restriction to air entering, and the answer is, ooh, not bad, 150?
More than I thought it would be. I was just guessing around 120 or 30, but no, 150 is not
Well, that
that bad.
explains
Makes
the-
a lot of torque though.
Yeah.
It's down low.
150 is not race engine territory by any means, but it's pretty good for a very, very low compression engine like this.
All right,
put it
now we
back
got work
together.
to do.
There you go. We advanced the camshaft 4 degrees, or at least we think so, because we didn't put a degree wheel on it, right? But the little mark on the doohickey
We
said
moved it 4 degrees further advanced than it was.
Right. We know it's advanced more.
And it was degree wheeled at 101, so that's dead nuts. So unless there's a little manufacturing error, we're talking about 97 degrees installed center line now.
Which means 10 degrees of advance off straight up, which is a lot.
That's about 1 degree away from missing it a tooth.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But I think it was advanced too much to begin with, so I'm not expecting this to improve the
Oh, this'll be
situation a
worse.
lot. But
Yeah.
it may make more torque. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what it does.
It should tip that
Over
curve,
here.
right?
Yeah.
This way.
That's what it's supposed to do.
All right, let's find out.
What if it's going to make it a beast of a 440?
I hope
might.
so. I hope you're happy. I'm only here to make you happy.
I know, I
Message.
want to be happy with my 440.
Okay, what we're gonna do now is our first pull with the camshaft advanced even more, 10 degrees total.
Wow, it sounds lazy. Yeah, that is such a lazy engine.
Well, here's our new power numbers: 466 pound-feet of torque, 376 horsepower, which is not radically different, but let's see what it did compared to the other timing setting. This is one of those engines that just doesn't care because it's a pooch. It's kind of a three-legged pooch, actually.
Actually, it did exactly what it was supposed to do, Freiberger.
It
Give
did.
it credit.
It tilted the curves,
Look at
that's for
that.
sure.
Actually, I don't know if it did what it was supposed to do. I think we made it do what it was supposed to do.
Oh, that's a matter of semantics.
What's your plan, Dulcich?
I don't like what it did there. I think if we back the cam up, it's going to be better. So I'm going to dash out to the dyno room and make that
retard it.
change. You guys are helping, right?
And the tension builds. We just retarded the camshaft to 107-degree installed center line. And we are once again going to do a cranking compression test to find out if it changed at all.
One, 3, 2.
132.
32.
So there you go. Theory proven out once again. Now let's go dyno test it and see what power it made. Okay, here we go with our third test. Now remember, in our very first test, we had the camshaft installed at an intake lobe center line of 101 degrees.
Right.
Then the next thing that we did is advanced it to 97 degrees, and now we retarded it to 107 degrees, which is what we would call straight up. Yeah, the same number as the lobe separation angle, which is sort of an insignificant, sort of lingo, but regardless, we started at 1 point, and then in test number 2, we advanced it, and in test number 3, we retarded it. And so theoretically, that means it should make a little bit more top-end power now, and the number I called was 392. How about you?
I want more than 400 horsepower. That
Not
would
happening.
be pretty good.
No.
No.
No, I've seen this.
The 392
I've met this
would
engine.
be so close.
I was off by 1.
Yeah, what's the matter with you, Freiberger?
I know.
You're just chiseling me when I think I saw 393.
Yeah.
It might have actually even made more low end than when it was in at 97.
Really? Let's have a look. It might just be happier overall.
Okay, so that's
That's a lot of torque.
Our new numbers are 464.8 pound-feet of torque, and our best ever, 392.4 horsepower. You gonna chisel me on the 0.4?
No, you got it. You
Should
were
I
right.
have guessed the 0.4?
No, we're using standard rounding here, so Freiberger, you win.
What are we gonna compare it with? Let's compare it with when we had it all the way advanced. There you go. So what you're looking at here is in black, you have it when we had it retarded, and in red, you've got it when it was advanced. So when it's advanced, it makes more low-end power. When it's retarded, it makes more top-end power. So this is textbook.
if that's the case, then the one that it started with should be in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Boom.
And step 1 is right in the middle.
Well,
Yep.
very curious results. It did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, did exactly
Just-
what it was supposed to do. I think it was a good example. I think the swing wasn't quite as much as we see sometimes, but it's not radically different than that.
No, it's kind of what I would expect, I think. It's 10 degrees is a lot of change in cam
There's a
timing.
big swing, but that's
Remember, we're
because
wiggling them 2 here, 2 there at each side to kind of look at it.
the engine's insensitive. It doesn't care.
Yeah, it has no compression ratio, but what it does tell me is it probably wants more camshaft.
You think?
That's what it's telling me.
Everything wants more
Yeah,
camshaft.
even with the low compression, it wants more cam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a stock eliminator engine. You put a ton of duration in it to crutch the garbage cylinder head.
Yeah.
I think I could still make this run 12s in a car, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've done it before.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I knew that I could probably make it run 12s in a car.
Never makes a bet unless he knows the answer.
That's it. Okay, I'll make you a deal, Dulcich.
Ooh, I'm all ears. I'm
We're
perked up.
gonna pull this dog off the dyno and never see it again until you install high compression slugs in it.
Oh, I intend to. I've already bought them, and they
Done.
will go in. But actually, it's not bad the way it is.
It's
not
actually,
bad.
it's way better than we were making it out to be. It's just been a lot of fun. I mean, it makes huge torque. It's a tire fryer. It's inexpensive. It's all the good stuff. So,
Yeah, that's it.
You can be in high school and do a motorhome 440 just like that, and have a ton of torque, be able to do burnouts for distance, everything you want in a muscle car.
You can buy that intake manifold at a swap meet for about $150. You can get a Holley 750 double pumper for $150, $200 in good shape at the swap meet, and then you buy a new camshaft, which is a flat tappet, so it's not that expensive. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Here's the 15-second summary of this episode. Just a textbook demonstration of what happens with camshaft timing. We advance the cam and it tips the curve in favor of the bottom end. We retarded the cam and it tipped the curve in favor of the top end and nearly made Dulcich's 400 horsepower.
Missed it by that much.
7.5. But that's not what I want to talk about in the conclusion, because I learned something completely different that got my brain going, and that was when we started doing cranking compression.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll notice that we had 152 PSI of cranking compression when we had the cam all the way advanced, and then we retarded it and it dropped all the way down to 130, 132, somewhere
dropped
in
the
that.
bunch.
Yeah, so that doesn't make sense, right? We reduced the cranking pressure and we made more horsepower. But I think that's actually really interesting as it relates to engine speed and where the intake valve closes.
Well, think about it. When you're spinning the engine along at 200 RPM on the starter, the air is moving super slow. When you're at high RPM, though, you're ramming the air past that intake valve as it's coming around bottom dead, as the piston's coming around bottom dead center. And that's a whole different dynamic for sure.
Yeah, completely. I think everybody doesn't realize that the intake valve closes as the piston is on its way up on the compression stroke. And a lot of people talk about dynamic compression ratio, and they focus on trying to make that number as big as it can. But what we saw here is that when we closed the intake valve later, there was more air coming into the cylinder, which led to greater cylinder pressure, which made more horsepower. Do you agree?
Well, absolutely. It had more horsepower at higher RPM, which means it made more torque at all those RPM points, which torque is the product of cylinder pressure. So there's no debating that as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and when we had the cam really far advanced, that means closing the intake valve sooner. And I think basically the air was still trying to make its way in, and we slammed the door shut and said no thanks.
Yeah, and you can also see that in the RPM at which it made peak power. It came up by a couple hundred RPM, which I was happy about because I got the 5 handle.
Yeah.
I almost couldn't live with myself peaking at 4,900.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the biggest takeaway I had, is realizing how many elements of engine performance are time-based, and just high RPM needs more time. That air is still moving in. You got to close that intake valve at just the right time. You don't know exactly when that is, but you can find out by experimenting with cam timing as we've shown you.
And find free horsepower.
Exactly. Good stuff, as it will be next time on Engine Masters.
Now we will time the engine. Maybe 38, 40 degrees. No more than that, no. When I push button, light blinks. Sometimes light no blink. Sometimes light blink, but light is not big enough. Big enough light, you need lots of light to see Mark.
This time on Engine Masters, we're going to show you how to verify your camshaft and probably pick up a little power for free. As in no simoleons, no dollars, no euros, no pesos, zero zilch nada, free. Here we go. First, I'm going to tell you about what we're going to do in this test, and then I will fill you in on this excellent engine package. So what we're gonna do is called lash loops. This applies to anything with a solid cam, whether it's a roller or a flat tappet. And in fact, it applies to overhead cams or anything that has a solid cam with lash. So let's talk about what is lash. It is the distance between the end of the rocker arm and the top of the valve. So just to inform some of you who may not be completely up to speed on all this, what we're looking at is a push rod here that's acting on a roller lifter and a camshaft. So this push rod goes up and down. The rocker arm, guess what? It rocks back and forth like this to open the valve. And of course, the valve spring then closes the valve. So that's how this all operates. But then that lash there is required because with a solid, or let's call it mechanical camshaft, you need a little bit of play there, because otherwise as the engine heats up and cools down, it'll end up breaking parts or hanging a valve open or something like that. The good news is we can use lash for tuning. That's because if there is less lash, it tends to add just a hair of camshaft duration. If there's more lash, it actually takes away a little bit of camshaft duration. The relationship of valve lift is directly proportional to lash. If you tighten up your lash by 10 thousandths of an inch, you just picked up 10 thousandths of an inch of valve lift as well. So what we're gonna do in this test is go through and first take the intake valve and adjust the lash smaller and then larger. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the exhaust side, smaller and then larger. And we're gonna look at our power curves and figure out which one is better. Now this can give you a clue as to your camshaft performance. If you really like looser lash, it tells you you might have picked a camshaft with too much duration, because the looser lash is gonna reduce that duration. And this will be very clear to you as we go through the dyno steps. So let's tell you about the engine combination here. And if you followed Engine Masters at all, you know this pooch, because it's pretty awesome and we've used it a bunch. It's a weirdo though. It's a big block Chevy. It's 478 cubic inches. Now that's really strange, but regardless of that, it runs really well. It's got JE custom pistons for 12.25-to-1 compression. It's got Dart Pro 1 heads on it with 365cc inlet runners. It's topped by a Dart manifold and a Holley 1050 carb. But let's get into the meat of what you really care about on this engine. It has a Crane solid roller camshaft, and it is a no fooling cam. The duration at 50 thousandths tappet lift is 284 on the intake, 296 on the exhaust, and it's on a 112-degree lobe separation angle. It's gonna make about 850 horsepower, and it's gonna scream to 7,500 RPM. It's a great platform to find out if we're gonna be able to adjust our lash and learn if maybe we picked the right camshaft or maybe we didn't. So we're gonna slap the valve cover on and hang this thing on the dyno and find out facts. All right, I think we know what this engine does. We've run it a jillion times at this point.
A few laps.
It does a lot.
Has a lot of laps on it, but I don't know, different weather, different day. Right now you've got the lash at 21 to 22 thousandths.
Both intake and exhaust.
And that's the hot number.
Hot relative to what we test at. We're testing at about 130, 35 degrees.
Okay, yeah. Different than room temperature cold.
Yes.
So how much does it grow on an engine like this?
From like a 75 or 80 degree day, it's probably going to grow 4 thousandths. If we were to lash them at 150 or 60 degrees, I'm seeing about 3 thousandths difference from 19 to 21, 22.
Okay. So you would cold lash this at like 18, and then it'll stretch
19,
to 21, 22,
Yeah.
that neighborhood. Okay, cool. Let's show them again what this engine makes for power. Performed as expected.
That was a good number.
Yeah. So there's our baseline, pretty much as expected. 633.6 pound-feet of torque at 5,700 RPM and 854.1 horsepower up at 7,500. Now, it needs to be noted that we're only running this engine to 7,500. Honestly, we think that it makes peak power at 76, 77.
Yeah.
But we're really worried about the valve control with no shaft rockers, no stud girdle, and stainless steel valves that are probably 350, like big old valves, too.
Or, well,
So
I was thinking 2,300, 2,350. They're probably 2,350.
that's our baseline. What's our first step in testing lash?
I don't know. Maybe just leave it alone because it's so good the way it is. I'm afraid that anything we do is going to make less power. I'm thinking the kind of procedure we'll work on is we will go tighter intake and looser intake. Decide which of those two is better, and then leave that there where it's at, and then go to the exhaust and kind of do the same thing and just look for both, whichever combination of those are the best.
So you're going to go put it tighter intake right now. What number?
I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go out there and do 2,000s. That's not going to show us any trends. I'm going to take a swing at it, go like 8 or 10.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Makes sense.
that leaves us with 10.
My only concern is going the other side to do, if we're going to do
That loose.
getting
Gets
it
kinda
over
rackety.
30,
Yeah.
34 thousandths. I think that maybe we do 10 and 10 each way.
So we're going to go out there, and I say we, I mean Lightning Lash Brule, who's going to handle this in like a flash. But we're going to set the intake valves at 12 thousandths of an inch, closing them up about 10, which means we're going to be adding a little bit of lift microscopically and a little bit of duration to the intake side.
About every 6 thousandths is going to be about 1 degree in duration.
So we're not making huge changes here, but we're seeing trends, hopefully. Dulcich disagrees.
What do you mean?
Well, you were telling me off camera that you didn't believe that the lash was going to make a bit of difference because it's in the ramp of the lobe.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see the results because every time I've tried it, it seems like looser was better than tighter.
I mean, like I say, it's unique to every engine, so
Right. Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't matter, but I've seen as much as 30 getting the lash correct.
Like I said, I really want to see what this is going to do on this
So
engine.
it's your job and mine to go pull valve covers.
Okay, let's go.
The procedure I use is adjust the intake valve when the exhaust valve is opening and adjust the exhaust when the intake is about half closed. Really, that's nothing more than a visual reference from outside the engine, since I can't see the camshaft, to tell me that the valve I'm adjusting is absolutely on the heel of the camshaft. It's the way I was taught. It's how it works on every 4-stroke engine. You can follow the firing order sequence if you choose, or you can just run down the row. But as long as you keep your eye on that cylinder, then it's the same on every 4-stroke.
Done in record time. I think that was about 8 minutes, start to finish, which is good because we have to do it like 5 more times. Now we've got the lash 10 thousandths of an inch tighter, theoretically adding just a hair lift and a hair of duration.
Only on the intake, right?
Only on the intake, right?
Okay. Well,
Steve
see
Brule,
what it does.
it's all yours. Okay, to really know what happened there, we're gonna have to overlay the 2 curves and inspect very, very closely because it's not much. This is all the same. So I'm gonna say that did nothing that we care about. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
Yeah, nothing we care about.
Definitely didn't help it, I can tell you that.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna go back out there now and loosen the intake rather than tightening it. We're gonna go 10 thousandths looser, which brings us to a lash hot of 32 thousandths. All right, here we go.
This looks like we may be doing just some fine points. I mean, valve lash adjustments. Generally, the camshaft manufacturer will give you a spec, you set it to that spec, and you forget about it. But how do you know if that spec is going to give you the most power? And really, that's what we're after here. On the dyno, we have the opportunity to test what is best. Does it want to be looser? Does it want to be tighter? The lash loop will tell us what the engine really wants.
Now we've gone to loose lash on the intake only. We got 32 thousandths, and so that means we're going to cut a tiny, tiny bit of lift and a tiny bit of duration.
Dulcich had an idea of why he thought this might be better.
Well, I mean, the early part of the ramp is called the lash ramp, where it goes up really mildly as far as the cam profile to take up the lash and not do it too violently. As you open up the lash, you're getting higher up on that lash ramp and you're getting closer to the actual opening ramp or the flank of the cam. So you're going to have a quicker valve action off the seat.
Just
setting.
like looking at duration at 50 thousandths tap at lift versus 200. I mean, obviously it's not that extreme with the lash, but you're saying it's hitting later on the lobe, and so the lobe is more aggressive at that point.
Yeah. But it's going to be harder on parts too.
Yeah,
right?
Right. Theoretically, it should still be soft enough where it'll be fine at this setting. You're 32?
Yeah, 32.
Okay, let's find out. Surprising. Wow.
Yeah.
Wait till you see these numbers. Pretty impressive. So what we saw as the power was going by is that it made a lot more power with the loose lash on the intake. So less duration ended up making more horsepower, 860.5 horsepower, the best we've ever seen out of this engine.
Oh.
And look at that, it absolutely helped it everywhere, and peak torque of 647.9. Best it's ever done, but the real story is look what it did everywhere in the curve. And not surprisingly, it's better down low than it is up top because we reduced duration. Wow.
But it really came in on the roll in.
Well, I mean, I think it's pointing us in a direction in the RPM range we're running, and I think it might be saying we picked a little big.
So this was 284 at 50. It's telling us we want like 278? Or do you think it's telling us we want 283?
You know, the best cam guys I know will look you straight in the face and go, this should do this.
Right.
There's no one answer. I mean, we'd have to
Right.
run 3 of them through there and look for the best. That's why we test.
Right now, I'm saying this cam's the right cam with 32
With the
degrees. 32,
But it might be the way that it's
valve.
opening the valve now.
yeah.
But can we drive it around, race it at 32 thousandths lash, or is it going to beat itself up? It's going to beat the tip of the valve. It's going to beat the axle and the roller.
I think it's okay.
I think you'd have to look at the specific lobe and find out what's happening at that point when it opens to see how bad it's slapping it around.
Steve, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but old school mechanical cams, like back in the day, it was not unusual to be 32 thousandths as
ones,
recommended.
And a lot of that, they were flat tappets.
Flat tappets, yeah.
And they...
Back in your day.
Oh, I will. Wait till we're
You
done.
can reach me from here.
Get off my lawn.
Right.
Yeah, you know, the old done top 30s, a lot of that stuff. But I will
Yeah.
tell you today, I still see a number of camshafts come in here that have lash settings hot in the 28 and 32 range.
That's why I'm not afraid of it beating stuff up, because it is not a really uncommon setting.
I think we can all agree, wow.
Yeah.
And so the next thing that we're going to go do is tighten up the exhaust lash.
This is a really, really
This is all-
educational test.
It's way better than I
because
expected.
Look at how much torque is gained right there at the bottom of the curve.
It's huge.
Nobody would expect that from, you know, a lash setting. This is the right test engine for this. It's got a really wide RPM range. It's high RPM. It's got a big cam. So it may be more sensitive to a lash
for
adjustment
sure.
than.
But whether it's a percentage or a number, it all matters. Everything that we're doing to this thing. Look, we started out, you know, a while back working on this thing, and it was what, an 800 horsepower engine?
motor.
And we haven't done a lot of trickery here, and we're at 860. We haven't changed the camshaft.
Right.
We haven't done rock arms. We haven't done any real hard parts. We've done kind of like oil pans and vacuum pumps and the stuff that a guy's going to do,
how
picking
you
away at
whittle
stuff.
away at it, yeah.
How much does 60 horsepower cost if you just go try and buy that?
Yeah.
I think we bargained hunted here, you know, as far as finding that kind of power.
So next up, we're going to go out there and tighten the lash on the exhaust side. And obviously, we're leaving the intake right where it is.
We are.
All right, ready? Another 8 minutes, more power. Here we go again, this time tight lash on the exhaust. And of course, we left the intake where it was. Go. So on that pull, we made 861 horsepower and we lost a little bit of torque, 643.7. So net, it did nothing. Let's see if it actually lost a little. Yeah, it lost a little bit in the mid-range. Yeah. Tight lash exhaust sucked. We're gonna move on to loosening it up. Ready?
Okay, we're well practiced this now.
Yes, we are. Okay, I can't be disappointed at this point, but what's your call? Loose lash on the exhaust, better or worse?
At least better down low.
It's going to be better everywhere.
Okay, I hope so. We're gonna see 865 horsepower-wise?
I think we'll break 860 is my prediction.
We already have.
Have we?
860.5, and we ran 861 just after that.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see the number, right?
Yep.
That's a tough number to beat.
Yeah.
All right, Brule, do that thing you do. Okay, will it be better? Will it be worse? We always have the knee jerk of wanting to talk about it, but you gotta look at the actual data. That says 855 horsepower, down 5, 649.7 pound-feet of torque, up microscopically. How about lay it over and see what we did? So what we're looking at here is the red line is what we deemed earlier today to be our best pass yet. It was the one where we had loose lash only on the intake side. The black line is the last test that we made where it's still loose on the intake, but also loose on the exhaust. And it's interesting because it actually ended up making more low end loosening up the exhaust and not as much up at the top.
This doesn't surprise me. I mean, shortening up the exhaust some, you need the additional exhaust for engine speed, and we're revving this thing up there pretty good.
Yeah.
If this were a 7,000 RPM combination, that probably wouldn't be there and wouldn't matter. We would never see it. But it picked up the bottom, which is kind of...
Yeah.
But then if you were drag racing this engine, you've got at least a 5500 converter, and that really doesn't matter. So I think bottom line is it doesn't care about the exhaust lash. I mean, it does tell us that the engine at very low speeds prefers less duration on the exhaust side, but not up at the top.
Yeah. You know, it leads me to want to try a camshaft that's very dissimilar to what it is, work on the intake side some, but widen the lobe separation a little bit. Try and help pick up this engine speed some more once that rocker arm thing you do is going to happen, and we get some shaft rockers on it, some other stuff, we can rev it up to 8,000.
Because this thing's on a 112, you're saying you would like put the cam at a 114 lobe separation angle?
Let it run
and let it
there.
eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good because I was going to ask you guys what you would conclude from this.
I don't know.
Where do you go from here? Do you change the
Well,
camshaft?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on where you're at. I mean, if this was mine and I had have that cam, I mean, going out and buying another cam, whereas I'm getting pretty good performance out of it as it is, I'd probably just optimize the lash and call it a day.
So that's the practical side, which is
Yeah.
a great argument. Let's say that you're not spending money and you wanted to put a different cam in it. Would you, or
Oh,
would
I
you
know
call
exactly.
this cam, good?
I know exactly what I would do.
What?
I would ask Brule.
Okay,
And then I would just widen the sep a little bit, maybe
Yeah.
add a couple of degrees of exhaust duration, shorten up the intake, and see what it does.
Exactly, because it's going to like that longer exhaust for engine speed as well as the nitrous. So that's a win-win if you're headed
The
that
nitrous.
direction. Oh, you hadn't planned on that yet?
Duh.
Well, no, that's done. So
Right.
I think what Steve's onto has a lot of merit to it. Just
The valve
opening
opening
quicker.
rate.
By today's standards, we are not pushing lift at all. We're below 800.
I know.
Guys don't do stuff below 900 anymore.
What's wrong with us? Yeah. That was really interesting.
good.
That was cool.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And more power than we've ever had
Ever.
from that motor. Dude, this thing just made its personal best record power for 0 simoleons.
I know, and that's always an accomplishment. And you know what? It speaks to something that's very important to me, and that's like fine-tuning and adjustment. Why does one guy's motor with the same parts run way harder than somebody else's?
Yeah, we found a lot of power on this thing. I mean, 25 pound-feet way down low.
Yeah.
And 8 up top and better everywhere in the curve for literally not $1, which is really cool. But we learned something about how our camshaft duration, could be improved with the different lash and everything. Would you ever bother to change that with rocker arm ratio instead of with lash. Like this thing has a 1.7 rocker on it. If it liked more duration, would you put a 1.8 rocker on it?
I would consider it if I was going to replace the whole valve train anyway. In the case of this engine, maybe we want 8,000 RPM instead of 7,500. Maybe
Well,
we
we
want
do.
shaft rockers instead of stud mounted. And at that point, well, the 1.8 will be awfully tempting.
I feel there's one last really important point that I need to make for the audience though. What we just showed you is a procedure that you can use on your engine. And you can do it not just on a dyno, but also at the drag strip.
Oh yeah.
The key is you don't want to just take the lash numbers that we just learned on this engine and apply them to your engine. It really is specific combination to combination.
Oh yeah, your results will vary. That's the right lash for this combination, but your engine might want something completely different.
The stuff that we show on Engine Masters can be applied to any engine. As I mentioned earlier, you can do this with an overhead cam 4-cylinder and it still works.
Or a Jeep engine.
See? Engine Masters, improving your life every time.
Poet, man. You may be good at setting lash.
But you're like Longfellow.
Hey, in another life, buddy, I would just do that. Never have oil on my hands, wouldn't have these sore knees, wouldn't have the arthritis in the elbows.
You could live in the 60s and hang at the coffee shops and call yourself a beatnik.
I could be like at Haight Ashbury.
This time on Engine Masters, it's a shootout of power with 2.5-inch dual exhaust versus 3-inch single. You know, some of my favorite tests on Engine Masters are when we get to do things that the viewers have specifically asked for, and that's what this is. It's gonna be 2.5-inch pipes with dual exhaust versus 3-inch pipe on single exhaust. Here's how we're gonna run it. We got both turbo mufflers and straight through muffler designs. First, we are gonna run twice pipes with 2.5-inch exhaust turbos, then we're gonna switch off to straight throughs. Next, we're gonna build a 3-inch single exhaust system with a 3-inch turbo muffler and a 90-degree merge. And then we're gonna change it up to a Y-style merge, and we're gonna try that with both the turbo muffler and the straight through muffler. So you're gonna get a whole bunch of information and data here. Our victim is gonna be right here. This 351 Ford that you've seen before on the show, it is a basic rebuilt short block. Nothing special, cast piston, stock rod, stock crank. You can duplicate this thing easily. And to do that, here's how you're gonna throw it together. You're gonna get a Comp Cams hydraulic roller camshaft. It's the XR282. You're gonna buy some AFR cylinder heads. These are the 165cc inlet runner. And by the way, we've run both the AFR 195s and the 165s on this engine. They make exactly the same power. So buy the cheaper head, the 165. Now up top, we've got a Wyand Stealth dual plane intake manifold. We've got a 750 Holley XP carburetor, and overall this thing adds up to about 9.5 to 1. Now the thing that's different about the engine compared with how we normally test it is that it has shorty headers on it. Normally we would have a full long tube, but I figured there's nobody who's considering running single exhaust who has long tube headers. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't package well underneath the car. And so I figure most of you guys are gonna have shorties like this if you're considering the single exhaust, so that's what we ran. All right, now I'm gonna throw it to my buddy Steve Dulcich in the dyno cell. He's gonna show you how we put together our very first system with the 2.5-inch duals.
Okay, we've got our baseline exhaust system set up on our 351 Ford. Now we've got shorty headers up front feeding these 2.5-inch head pipes, a pair of Summit turbo mufflers following that, and some short tail pipes. So we're gonna take it into the dyno cell and we're gonna get our baseline numbers.
All right, Dulcich showed you our choking dual exhaust that we just put on this thing.
Oh boy.
And our shorty headers. The thing is, earlier in the day, we actually ran the same engine with long tube headers and open exhaust, and it was interesting what we found on the tune-up, putting the full exhaust on it.
It got quite a bit richer from the 3,000 to 4,500, let's say, and then it kind of trimmed itself normal. It wouldn't surprise me if it got a little richer everywhere, but I was surprised that it was actually very similar at the top.
Well, but normally when you put an exhaust system on versus open headers, it does make it richer. So that's something to consider if you go to the drag strip and uncork. Yeah, you might have to rejet if you've got it right to begin with.
And we've got that tuned out, so we're pretty much ready to go, right?
His anxiety is saying, fire it up and run it. All right, we're gonna fire it up, warm it up to 130 degrees of water temp, and make our baseline full with dual exhaust and turbo mufflers. Did you run it yet? It's so quiet.
I love it. The best thing about testing mufflers is how quiet the day is.
Here's our power curve for our baseline. We made 405.3 pound-feet of torque at 4,100 RPM and 414.7 horsepower at 6,400 RPM.
Not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, versus the open exhaust and long tubes, that's actually kind of surprising.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do is pull up a test here that's actually from a prior episode, which is this exact same engine, same configuration, different valve covers, and long tube headers and open exhaust. So you can just kind of see the difference that the dual exhaust and mufflers are gonna make on the power curve.
Boom.
Ooh.
There you go. Clearly, red lines are open long tubes, black lines are the short tube headers and the full exhaust. So you can see what you're giving up. It's quite a bit.
The engine's identical, other than the exhaust. I mean, it's
100%.
same carburetor, same intake, same everything. It's absolutely identical. So
That's quite a bit.
big difference, huh?
Yeah, that's a lot. But you can't drive around with open headers, so.
Well, maybe you can't.
Oh. You sometimes.
Right, see? All right, let's see if we can make it a little bit better. I'd like to run out there and throw on some straight through mufflers now. Okay, we're gonna go change the mufflers, be right back. How many guys does it take to change two mufflers?
I don't know.
Me and Steve and one pork chop. Yeah, that one in fine. Screw it. We're taking off these so-called turbo mufflers, which you cannot see through at all. They have one tube that goes in here, and then the exhaust has to come around through another tube right here. Now, what we're installing is a straight-through muffler. You can see right through them. So this is kind of a bonus test. In the middle of dual exhaust versus single, you're also gonna see turbo mufflers versus straight-through on both the duals and on the single exhaust. We're all set up here for a comparison of these straight-through mufflers to what we ran before, which was the turbo mufflers. But before we do that, I kind of want to make a point, which is we always use these cheap Chinese knockoff mufflers. So the thing is, I honestly believe this is going to perform the same right here as an expensive version of the same muffler, but it's the longevity that I wanted to point out probably isn't there. I think you had a real-world example of that.
Yeah, I put those really cheapy turbo mufflers on a truck with like a 450 horsepower engine in 1 month. They were blown out
all the
and
packing.
they were making all kinds of really
Yeah.
bad vibration and noises and stuff. So
I'm sold they didn't have Chinese mufflers when I was doing it. So.
Well, I guess
It
the
was all
difference
good
would be the knockoff Flowmasters. There's nothing to blow out of them unless they just couldn't weld a baffle in and it comes out. But that is the element that we can't see on the dyno, is the longevity of some of this stuff. But nonetheless, we've got the $40 cheapo Chinese MagnaFlow knockoffs on here, and we're going to find out if they make more power than the Summit turbos. Seems better. I'm not sure how
Pretty
much
good.
better.
I think it's pretty close.
So here are our numbers with the straight-through mufflers and the dual exhaust. We made 412.8 pound-feet of torque at 4,200 RPM and 420.5 horsepower at 6,200. Why don't you go ahead and lay over the turbo muffler? I think we'll see it actually did make quite a bit of difference. There you go.
It did.
Remember we were talking about the sound of it? down low.
Yeah.
Shows it all right there.
That is a really significant difference. I wouldn't have expected that.
It's really interesting to me about how down here where there isn't as much airflow through the exhaust, it makes that big of a difference.
I can't tell you why, but what I heard was a slight misfire. You know how sometimes a carburetor will struggle with metering at lower engine speeds? That's almost what it sounded like with the other mufflers on it, and it seemed to clean up here. So,
well, we also noticed that it runs leaner with this muffler than it did with the other one because it's less of a restriction, less back pressure. All right, well, you can see that definitely the straight-through muffler made more power than the turbo, which is no surprise. We saw that before when we did our muffler shootout. But what's going to be interesting now is when we strike this and go to the single 3-inch exhaust. And when we do that, I also want to test turbo versus straight through to see if it makes a greater difference or not. All right, let's go make 3-inch single exhaust.
I think it'll be better.
Steve always goes against logic.
There's some very kind of similar. Yeah.
Here we go with our single exhaust with 3-inch tubing, and we'll be testing it with a turbo type muffler. Now, the first test here has got one bank entering the other bank at a perfect 90-degree angle, and I'm thinking that is gonna be hideous for flow, but we're gonna try it out, because most muffler shops will put stuff together like that. So we're gonna try 90-degree, and then we're gonna go in and Y them and see if it makes it any better. Let's fire it up. I like this because it's a test we've never done.
I like it because it's really quiet.
It's really quiet now.
I like it.
But what's your guess on power kill with the 90-degree exhaust merge?
Hardly anything.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going with Dulcich. I think the increased area maybe kind of hopefully balances
Even though
it
it's
out
merging
some.
like this?
And it might not even be the exhaust that's stopping the power level where it's at.
Okay, we got it all warmed up. We're ready to fire up and run it with the single exhaust with a turbo muffler and the 90-degree merge.
We're like the guys at the muffler shop, Brule, saying, oh, that's not good enough. It's a 3-inch pipe.
I like it when you go to the muffler shop, and what do they always tell you?
You need back pressure.
An engine likes a little back pressure. Well, how about that?
Yeah.
No. Here are your new and not improved power numbers with the single exhaust. 398.9 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM and 374.1 horsepower, all the way up at 6,300. But the real story is going to be when we lay it over. As usual, the curve tells all.
I've never seen three guys smile this much over that huge of a loss in power.
It's hideous. So we're going to show you the single exhaust with the 90-degree merge paired with the 2.5-inch dual exhaust. Oh, fail. Obviously, red lines here are dual exhaust, and the black is the devastating single 3-inch.
We're looking like, 45 horsepower.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it killed it.
Death. I think with the merge, you're essentially creating a restriction. That pressure coming into the pipe right there has got to be a restriction to flow on that other side of the engine.
Yeah, that exhaust, when it tees, it doesn't know whether it's supposed to go left or right.
Exactly.
I mean, it's got some exhaust helping direct it.
Not only is its flow being backed up by the T, but it's also creating a high pressure area, which is a restriction for the other side.
It is richer, but there's no jet in the world.
There's no fixing
that's going to fix that.
Yeah. Actually, it's a good point to make, though, which is we're seeing that it was running about 12.6 to 1 air-fuel ratio at wide open. It's now 11.6 to 1. So should you choose to actually have this on your car, you might want to look at rejetting your carburetor or tuning your EFI or something.
Yeah.
That is just the worst.
That was a lot of work for such a disappointing outcome.
Well, we have to go work more now. We'll go put that Y in, and I think it's going to help it a ton. I'm counting on the Y to let us win, so let's go install it. Yeah, and this will work. So we can mock it all up.
Let me show you what's going to be key to improving our single exhaust system here. That is going to be this merge. It's a much more streamlined entry into the single portion of the exhaust system. So, Troy, slap that on.
So we're about to fire it up for our very first test with that Y-shaped merge instead of the 90. All right, guys, I have to ask, why?
Why? Why the why?
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 What would happen if it doesn't do anything, Freiberger? How would you explain that away?
The muffler's the restriction? I don't know.
The obvious thing is you have to cam it for the merge.
Oh, that's it.
If you don't cam
You
it
guys
for the
have
merge,
the wrong cam.
Here we go with our first test with that Y-shaped merge and the single 3-inch exhaust. We still have the turbo muffler in place. It doesn't matter.
But it does.
It was a little better, but not good.
It was a lot better.
Was it?
good?
Where I said it was going to be.
I didn't see the torque being any better.
Oh, really?
Really?
I think so.
All right, so our peak numbers with the Y merge are 397.2 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. And up top, we have 383.5 horsepower at probably 6,200 RPM. The question is, how did it do versus the 90 degree? The peak numbers are lower. Oh, you're saying down here it was better.
Yeah.
So the black line is the Y, the red is the 90. It didn't make the difference I was hoping for. That is weird. You think that's all fuel metering? That's back pressure?
I think it was actually, I could sense almost a misfire because of the restriction with the others, T versus the Y.
Yeah.
And it was just much cleaner rolling in. I could actually hear it, not just see it in the numbers.
Do you know what I postulate?
I have a postulation as well. Let's hear yours.
I think at low gas velocity, at low RPM, that 90-degree merge, the gas coming out of the other bank can go either way and make reversion worse.
that was my thought too. And then once engine speed comes up, it's actually got enough force coming this way to sort of drag the rest of it that way. That's amazing. Right there is where the Y really shows itself, and up top.
Yeah,
It
did
actually
help
made
somewhat.
more. It made almost 10 numbers up top. So the Y is better.
Better.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We just established that that Y merge was in fact way better than the 90-degree merge, especially way down at the bottom and way up at the top. But the whole curve is still ridiculously far down from dual exhaust. So to try and save that a little bit, I want to run out there and remove the turbo muffler and install a straight through muffler and see if it makes a difference.
That'll be quick and easy.
Quick and easy, unless we burn ourselves. Oh wait, Steve Brule, that means burn, doesn't it?
Yes,
That's your
in
job.
French, it does mean burn.
It means burn. Let's go. You ready for my best Joe Friday?
Oh, yeah.
All right, single exhaust. This is your last chance to do the right thing, or I'm gonna throw you in the trash and never look back.
Was
Was it pretty good?
Yeah.
Throwing you in the trash can, throwing away the key.
Oh, yeah. It's got a one-away ticket.
This will be our final test. We're gonna do that single exhaust with the Y merge with the straight through muffler. It's kind of the last chance for the single exhaust. What did you do? Did you run it cold?
No,
No?
no. I installed a muffler with Mr. Dulcich.
It made more, well, I'm not saying anything until we look at the curves, because I always open my mouth and then I'm wrong. Let's have a look at the total power.
I think you are going to be shocked. I was watching the numbers fly by, and it was pretty good.
Wow. Okay, we just made more power than we've seen all day with the single exhaust and one straight through muffler. 422.9 pound-feet of torque and 424.5 horsepower. Now, that is better than the dual exhaust straight through mufflers on it. As a matter of fact, let's overlay that. Wow, look at this. Okay, the red lines are the dual exhaust with the straight through mufflers, and black is single exhaust with the straight.
I know.
Well, it's bigger.
It's not.
The head pipes are. And then it's got a nice
head
clean,
pipes
a
are.
nice clean merge, and obviously enough muffler. So it really shouldn't be that shocking.
What it really demonstrates a lot too is the difference between the turbo style muffler and the straight through, the
Yeah.
flow potential difference when there's only one.
Yeah.
With two of them, it doesn't matter all that much. With one,
It really made the difference.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about why the dual versus singles like this. We've got 3-inch pipe going all the way from the header.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas we had the 2.5-inch before, and that might be the difference there.
And then that merge may not be that bad of a restriction, really, into the 3-inch pipe and out the tailpipe. Boom. Just no
Yeah.
crossover. Maybe with the crossover, it would have filled in a little bit of that bottom end that we're seeing lacking there.
We did that test before, and I don't remember the results, but I don't think it was anywhere near this drastic.
my recollection is the H was better, but the X pipe was no better than
Versus
the H.
H.
But the H was better than no crossover at all.
So you're right, that could be a thing also. We have to look at what you just brought up, which is the difference between the straight-through muffler and the turbo muffler with single exhaust. So let's have a look at that. So next up, we're gonna compare the single exhaust with the turbo muffler versus the single exhaust with the straight-through muffler. And that is also a massive change. Wow! Look at that. The difference is even more radical. Red lines are going to be the turbo muffler and black is the straight through. Nothing else different about it. So that tells you that one muffler cannot handle the flow of all 8 cylinders.
Particularly
One
if,
turbo.
if it's not an adequate muffler. You've got a smaller cross-sectional area, so you better be making use of all of it with a very efficient muffler.
Wow.
Now, a lot of this exhaust stuff I look at and I go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It works. Then
This is huge. That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
How much power does the single exhaust with the good muffler make versus the dual exhaust with the bad muffler? Look at that.
Wow. The single kills it.
The single is in black and the dual exhaust with the turbo mufflers is in red.
Well, as you get restricted in cross-sectional area, what percentage smaller is a single 3 compared to 2.5s?
29%.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a big change in area. So you better make sure if you're going to run the single, you better be very efficient as far as component selection and the merge. And I mean, everything's got to be right to get that kind of result.
It's pretty amazing.
out of a single. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I guess the last question I have is, what do we feel is the crossover point where you need to be looking at this data? Like, I think this engine at 430 horsepower in a normal configuration is the high end of what anybody would be considering using for single exhaust. You know, I'm thinking that most of the guys actually paying attention to this test probably have something more like 300 to 350 horsepower standard cruising truck. I think it still matters.
Oh, absolutely. At wide open, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah. Well, I learned a whole lot more than I expected to.
It was fun stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
this is
cool.
good.
I love it when we do a test we've never done before.
Yeah.
Man, this is cool. The big thing we saw here is that we ended up making more power with 3-inch single exhaust and a great muffler than we did with 2.5-inch exhaust
I still
and
have to
duals.
I still can't even accept it, Freiberger.
I know.
It has to be true.
It was true, but the thing is, we went into the dyno cell off camera, did a bunch of other tests trying to figure out why, and ultimately, I'm gonna say that we ended up with more questions than we did answers, as we often do. The only takeaways that I have firmly are I believe you can use 3-inch single exhaust if you have a great muffler, if you've got a Y pipe, and if you've got an engine making less than 400 horsepower.
Yeah, it's a minefield. You got to do it right. And then
Yeah.
the results pretty much speak for themselves.
I think the other questions that we saw about why the 3-inch made more power really has to do with the packaging and what we were able to do on the dyno that you might not be able to do in the car.
We had 3-inch pipe all the way through the whole 3-inch system and 2.5 with the dual exhaust system. So I think the head pipes probably could have helped the single exhaust system, and it was long and it had the merge way back behind the engine, way further for dyno considerations. So it had those advantages for sure.
Yeah, stuff we were able to do in the dyno that you couldn't do in the car. But nevertheless, that was a learning experience. It was way more mind-blowing than I thought it would be from a very basic test.
So Freiberger, question. You've got a street machine, what do? 3-inch single or dual 2.5 pipes?
Dulcich. Twice pipes,
Oh,
bro.
yeah, you know it.
Every single
Boom.
time.
Me
Oh,
too.
man, all the love, all the learning, every time on Engine
Engine
Masters.
I got it, Steve-O.
Good job.
We need el otro cero de mufflerero.
The name of that episode was Steve Wrestled with a Muffler. Wheels not hot.
Can someone lift this pipe off? My hand's actually being crushed here.
Are you real? Are you for reals?
Holy. All right, let's do this.
This time on Engine Masters, we are going to show you the power and tuning secrets of carburetor spacers. We got the open spacer, we got the 4-hole, we got 2 intake manifolds, we got a 3-3 small block. It's everything you need to know. I blame you for this. You know why? Because viewers have asked us for like 2 years to do an episode all about carburetor spacers. You would ask, why have we resisted? Well, the thing is, these carb spacers, they really change their effect on performance depending on the intake manifold design, the engine displacement and camshaft, the carburetor that's used. There's a lot of different effects that they can have on performance. We think we've put together a combination here that is sort of as broad and representative as possible for you. But first, let's talk about what a carburetor spacer is. There it is. It's as simple as that. It's one of the cheapest things that you can do to change the performance of your engine. You simply put it on your intake manifold right there, slap your carburetor on top of it. And it affects the distribution of the manifold, the fuel curve, all sorts of things that you will see. The thing is, there's a lot of different types of carburetor spacers. This one is what we call an open. This is what we call a 4-hole. These are both 1 inch tall. You can get them like up to 2 or 3 inches tall. There's other variations that are like a tapered combo, or ones with steps, or ones that are just split in the middle. But let's be honest, these are the 2 that really matter in the world. The other thing that's different about these is that they come in all kinds of materials. You can get them in wood, you can get them in plastic with little rubber inserts that keep the carburetor from vibrating. You can get them in die-cast aluminum, billet aluminum, or what this is, which is phenolic resin. What is phenolic resin? I questioned it because thermoquads have the main body made out of phenolic resin, but what does that even mean? It's based on an organic compound called phenol, and it's mixed with formaldehyde and some acid and stuff like that, and it becomes hard plastic. You know what's made out of phenolic resin? Carburetor spacers and pool balls. All right, there's completely random information for you. Let me tell you what we're gonna do for the test today. So the victim we've got here today is our 383 small block Chevy that you have seen in a zillion episodes of Engine Masters, but we've changed it up a little bit for reliability. So this is the same Blueprint Engines short block that you've seen over and over, but we kept on seeing a valve float problem at the top end, and Steve Brule really wanted to fix that because he was worried in some tests that it might affect the results, and so he wanted valve train stability. He started by putting solid roller lifters on our hydraulic roller lifter camshaft. It's the same cam we've always had. The degrees of duration at 50 are 230 on the intake, 236 on the exhaust, and for performance, we also changed the cylinder heads. This is an aluminum Dart Pro 1. It's got a 215cc cast intake port. Now we're also gonna change the intake manifolds on this thing, including a baseline with our Dart single plane. Now here's the mind-blowing thing. All of those changes, and believe it or not, it makes exactly the same power curve that it made before all of those changes, but it is way more stable up top. Now in our testing, you're gonna see we're gonna switch from this Dart single plane to the Dart dual plane intake manifold, and that's because we know from experience that the 4-hole and the open spacer perform radically differently depending on what intake manifold you put on them. And so we're gonna kick it off with the single plane, then move to the dual plane, and you will find out the magic of the carburetor spacer. How simple is that?
So for this test, what we've decided to do is add a couple of sensors that we don't always use. And one is the air hat, which measures airflow that the engine is drawing in cubic feet per minute. And the other one are these 802 sensors. They're oxygen sensors, not dissimilar to what you have in your regular passenger car, but we have one in every cylinder so we can identify the air-fuel ratio in every cylinder. We're potentially only looking at 2 or 3 horsepower differences in some of these spacers. And so we want to be able to identify where the gain or loss is occurring. And so, like they say, you can never have too much data. So we're going to go in, baseline this thing, get some numbers, and move on from there. Spacers are tough to predict. The only one I think I can predict, I'll probably be wrong, is the open on a dual plane.
Dispense with the chit-chat, gentlemen. Baseline it, Brule. I'm
Yes,
cutting
sir.
to the chase.
Wow. Taking charge, Freiberger.
With authority.
What's gotten into you?
All right. Performed as expected.
Yes.
Well, there's our baseline with no carburetor spacer whatsoever. Basically the same exact power as we've seen with this engine a zillion times that we've tested it. 466.5 pound-feet of torque at 4,300 RPM and up at this time it's 6,000 RPM peak, 469.4 horsepower. And where do you want to start? 4-hole spacer or open spacer?
Let's do the 4-hole first.
I concur. I was thinking 4-hole first and then the open spacer for the big number.
Is that because we all think that the open spacer has some potential for a little more power? So
Not necessarily. The thing about spacers is they can be really unpredictable. So
Wait a minute. Off camera, you predicted 7 horsepower with the open.
Yeah.
On this manifold.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going 0. But you never know until you try.
I'm going with you this time.
Okay, 4-holer. See, he said this time, like I'm normally wrong.
No.
Man, Brule's just on a roll. Oh, fail! The studs are too short.
Take it off.
How do they do that? Those must be for a 3/4 inch spacer. All right, Brule, take it off.
All right, we've got the 4-hole spacer installed. We're getting the air hat on so we can check to see if there's any measurable change in airflow, which may attribute to a power change or not. We don't know yet, but it's another piece of data to grab. Dulcich and I have got the 4-hole spacer installed, so we're going to go check it out.
While you guys were buttoning up the air hat, I was toasting myself a delectable Pop-Tart.
You're not even allowed to eat those,
Yeah,
Freiberger.
it was against the advice of my nutritionist, I have to say.
Priorities.
Oh, well.
So
I'll let
what's
you
going
have
to
that.
happen with the 4-hole, Dolchek?
I think it'll make 2 more foot-pounds of torque, and that's it.
I've learned not to question him.
He's always good for
Well,
a
no,
laugh.
I mean, and that's going to be below peak torque.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I say run it.
Need more power.
I didn't see much of a change in air-fuel ratio,
No.
which is interesting.
Before we look at power, we're looking at air-fuel ratio. We've seen that spacers can affect the signal at the carburetor, which will change the air-fuel ratio. And what are you seeing here?
Pretty close
Richer
down there.
low and leaner at the top, which the leaner at the top is puzzling to me.
As a general rule, would you say the 4-hole tends to draw on the carburetor more than the open?
Yes.
Here's what we're looking at for our first pull with the 4-hole spacer: 467.3 pound-feet of torque, 474.6 horsepower, which appears to be a little bit up from no spacer at all. Is that because it's lean, or is that because of the spacer?
It's made a couple of foot-pounds more at the bottom and more horsepower at the top. Who'd have thunk it?
Could this be because it's lean up there?
There's another thing you need to look at, and that's going to be pounds per hour of fuel, because it may have different distribution, which will show sometimes an air-fuel ratio, and It's actually using almost the same amount of fuel.
Okay.
It's pulling more fuel and it's showing a leaner mixture.
Right. So
And
let's
it's making more power.
So let's look at the
distribution.
cylinder distribution, yeah. That was very astute, Dulcich.
Well, you know, I'm a student of the engine science.
I really liked it. It's still 14.6 to 11.5.
Well, let's compare it to another.
Yeah, let's see if it's tighter without the spacer. There you go. So red is no spacer, black is
tighter
with
at
the
the top.
4-hole. It's a,
See that?
yeah, here,
Where it's making more power. It
almost
is
tighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it affected the manifold distribution tiny bit.
And it actually helped on the bottom because you don't have those two that are way out of the field there at the low end that are 15s.
These two?
Yeah. So it did help.
I'm going to say it's more cylinder to cylinder than
Then,
any other
Yeah.
single thing.
so no spacer moved more air, but with the spacer, made a little bit more power.
Very
So
small bit, like 4 CFM or something.
manifold distribution.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks a little tighter. So that's more than any one single thing. I think that's probably.
I think we're out of tune-up options. We go straight to the open spacer. So it's easy as that, which is why you can test this stuff at home or on the drag strip just by stocking up on spacers and flopping them underneath the carburetor. I finished my Pop-Tart, so I'm ready to run the open spacer.
All
What do you
right.
think the open spacer does?
We might see that it needs more jet, maybe. I don't think it's going to make more power because I think this manifold's already too big for the engine. All right, fire it up, let's go. And the open spacer makes 469.9 pound-feet of torque and 472 horsepower, which is up just a hair, I believe, but we need to look at the overlay to compare. Let's compare it first to no spacer whatsoever. So this is a look at the red line, which is no spacer at all, and the black line, which is the open spacer. So you can see that the open spacer lost a tiny bit of power in the neighborhood of 4,000 RPM, and it made power from 4,500 all the way up, but then difference gets pretty negligible.
Yeah, curiously, it really moved up the peak torque
Yeah, I was
RPM.
looking at that too. 4,700s from 4,300.
There's like a blip right there where it came up. But now we have to compare the open spacer that we just tested to the 4-hole. So the 4-hole is in red and the open spacer is in black. Basically what we saw in our comparison between the two spacers, the open and the 4-hole, is that they traded places in power throughout the curve, but none of it was significant enough. What we're looking at now is air-fuel ratio distribution. In black is the open spacer and in red is the 4-hole, and you can see that the red 4-hole is actually better.
It's grouped from tighter.
Yeah, which makes sense actually because it's doing something about the velocity through the carburetor, whereas the open spacer is just adding plenum volume. Now, trend-wise, the 4-hole on the single-plane manifold tends to improve like low-end drivability, signal to the carburetor, and in this case, distribution. And I think we're gonna see the opposite when we go to the dual plane, which is that it's gonna prefer the open instead of the 4-hole. But we're gonna go find that out right now as we go install the dual plane and do it all over again. With the carburetor off this, you can see that this dart intake is a single plane, wide open plenum. This would be typically designed for something that makes more RPM, more power, more displacement than this engine. The reason we're running two different manifolds is because spacers can have a different effect depending on whether it is a single plane or a dual plane. So this is the dual plane that we will be installing. This is an air gap style dual plane. It is much more suited to the type of engine this is. We're gonna anticipate seeing this thing make a whole lot more torque than that. And we will show you the power difference between these two intakes before we start messing around with spacers. We've already done our first pull with the dual plane. It was really rich. We went out there and leaned it out by 9 jet sizes overall, which is a big whack. And we're gonna see if it makes a difference in power. Doesn't care.
Kind of poochy, I think, at the top.
Yeah, I would say so. So after the tune-up on the dual plane, where we went in and leaned it out some, it actually just came down a hair in power. We're looking at 474 pound-feet of torque and 454.6 horsepower. Look at that. The red lines here show the single-plane intake manifold with the 4-hole spacer on it, and the black is this dual plane with no spacer. As you can see, the red lines are just grouped much more tightly, and the dual plane is much bigger, and so it's not a matter of runner length making the power difference. We think it's probably that there's some cylinders that just aren't in the mood to make power because we're barely feeding them any fuel, or we're feeding them too much.
Yeah, I mean, it tilted the curve, so I mean, the runner length is taking care of it down there, but I think we've just got issues up there with fueling the cylinders. Cylinders at 16-to-1 don't make power.
Right.
Yep, and there's nothing you can do about that in the carburetor to fix it.
Maybe the
But
spacers may help.
the 4-hole spacer.
It may.
It may.
That may help.
We don't know. Is that our next step?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna go out there and put the 4-hole spacer atop the dual plane intake manifold. Okay, 465.8 pound-feet of torque, 455.5 horsepower. We're pretty much saying that's a 0. But to really know, we have to compare it to the curve of the regular dual plane with no spacer. Okay, red lines are the no spacer, black lines is the 4-hole. It's smoothed out the curve. The range here is not that different. We're talking about 12.4 to 12.8, negligible, but this is flatter.
Okay, I could say we can count out air fuel. Let's look at the individual cylinder distribution.
I'm gonna read you off the cylinders in order, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 8. 15.9 to 1, 12.9, 14.4, 13.8, 14.1, 12.5, 14.9, and 12.0. What's the trend that you're seeing there?
Yeah, well, we're seeing it's all on one side. We're seeing a whole bunch of lean cylinders. These cylinders are not making power, and that's why it got worse when we leaned the carburetor out, is they made even less power.
Right.
Well, the trend that I'm seeing is that it's every odd cylinder
Yeah.
that's lean.
Yeah, it's one side of the engine.
bank,
Yep.
which makes no sense because on the dual plane manifold, one level is feeding inner two and outer on the other side.
I know.
And the other level's doing the opposite. So
It can't do this, but it is.
Okay, so final answer on this thing is we suspect this manifold is not that good because of the leanness along one bank, but what we know is that the 4-hole spacer did nothing good on this combination.
No matter how much we tried and fought with it.
The open spacer is going to be the miracle worker here.
Let's hope. It's what we normally see, but who knows?
There's only one way to find out.
We're gonna change to the open spacer. Final step. This is the dual plane manifold with the open spacer, and preemptively, Brule has already thrown 6 more jet sizes in the back and 3 in the front. Open spacers tend to make less signal on the carburetor, meaning that you have to put larger jets to achieve the same air-fuel ratio, and that's what Steve did before we even started. So the horsepower that we saw just now was 465.8 and the torque 478.2 with the open spacer. Let's look at it versus no spacer at all. So black is the open spacer and red is no spacer at all. So that is absolutely the right thing to do.
That's a lot of horsepower.
Yeah, I didn't expect that it was that big of a hit, but man.
I didn't either.
And that comes down to the cylinder distribution. It's not just that the spacer made that, it's that more cylinders are doing, you know,
Their work.
They've come to the party. The reason why I think the cylinders are, you know, more evenly distributed is that 1-inch spacer is sharing more pulses side to side
You've got better
from the two
communication.
planes.
Yeah.
Better communication, exactly. And so the fuel's making a turn somehow and getting to wherever it needs to be in a better way.
But wait,
But wait,
I wonder if it's using more air too, or if it's taking in more air with the single spacer? Because that's a big chunk of horsepower. You would think there would be more air, or is it all efficiency and better distribution?
If cylinders are making more power, they're not necessarily drawing more air.
Not necessarily.
We're
but
going to look.
Let's find out.
This is what we've.
Whoa!
No.
So it's all efficiency,
It's all
basically.
efficiency.
And that's what I mean. If they're making more power, if it's because they're richer instead of leaner, it's not going to draw more air. It's that it's using the fuel more efficiently.
Yeah.
So I think the last thing that we need to do is look at our best run with the single plane, which was with the 4-hole spacer, and our best run with the dual plane, which was with the open spacer. So black is the open spacer on the dual plane. Red is the 4-hole on the single plane. It's tipped right in the middle, pretty much like you would expect for dual plane versus single plane.
So now it's a question of what are you doing with the car?
Right, this is your drive around thing with the dual plane on it, and if you're drag racing this junk, then you want to go with the single plane and the 4-hole.
We're looking at this thing, and I'm going like, wow, that is really a decent combination now. We took kind of a and polished
Mediocre.
it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
We did.
and those are pretty good changes considering the cost of a spacer is pretty minor when you consider cost of speed parts.
Yeah, it's like 15 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And that's the difference. All right,
Okay,
I'm good.
me too.
Cool.
That was fun.
Out of here.
Yeah. Okay, Steve, I think we've seen why I generally didn't want to do this episode, because all the performance is so dependent on the engine and the intake manifold, but I think I do have some general conclusions.
Well, yeah, I think we basically broke it down to the most likely scenario. So take it away, Freiberger.
The most likely scenario, I would say, is that a 1-inch open spacer almost always improves a dual plane intake manifold. Not always, but generally.
Agreed.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I would also say that a 4-hole spacer on the single plane intake manifold more rarely can help as far as distribution and performance.
Yeah.
And I'd say that's especially true if you've got a big single plane on an engine that doesn't really deserve it.
Case in point.
So are we on the same page so
Yeah.
far? I mean, not just from this test, but from the general things that we've all seen in the past. I think those are the trends that are kind of true.
You'll likely see those results, but don't count on it.
Right. And I think also we didn't bother testing some stuff that we knew wasn't going to work. There's 2-inch spacers as well in multiple designs. In fact, I think you can buy 3-inchers, can't you?
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, you hope so, because it looks cool. And that's an open. But then there's Dulcich's favorite and the most fun-named spacer on Earth, the Super Sucker. This is actually more generically known as a tapered combo. See how it's 4-hole on the top and it tapers into an open at the bottom? That's supposed to be super trick, but honestly, we've messed around with stuff like this, and when you go to a 2-incher on an engine this mild, you don't really get any benefit out of it, which brings me back to you gotta try it every single time, and you gotta jet it every single time.
Yeah, and I kind of took something away that I wasn't expecting. To me, I always thought the volume was the big player, but what I found out is it basically is how the carburetor is interacting with the manifold when you stick that spacer in between, and that changes. We saw that in the fuel distribution.
On both tests?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why you were talking off camera about how guys will go to the drag strip and try a bunch of spacers and never touch the carburetor, and it just doesn't work that way. Honest truth, if you want to get the most out of your carburetor spacer, you need an oxygen sensor in every single hole so you can see what's going on. At minimum, you need 2 oxygen sensors in your headers. Do you agree?
Yeah, or a lot of drag testing will
Yeah.
do the same thing.
Exactly. But generally, I would say your ultimate takeaway is if you've got a dual plane, try a 1-inch open spacer, and that's the end of the story. It's about the cheapest power you can get. As a matter of fact, Dulcich wants to go home and make one out of plywood.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
And so we hope to have more in-depth and factual information in future episodes of Engine Masters.
The thing I'm wondering is whether the open spacer is going to be as good as the 4-hole. That's why we dyno test, Freiberger. You know, because the racetrack, the pits, the internet, they're all full of experts. You know, they know what's going to happen. They'll tell you what a 4-hole will do, what an open spacer will do. But you know what? I don't want to listen to those guys. I would listen to the dyno. That's the way I do it. Engine Masters.
Chevy guys had their turn, and now the Ford guys are up. It is the Engine Masters Intake Manifold Showdown, Ford Windsor style. Man, I love when we get to do head-to-head, brand-to-brand shootouts. This time, it's different intake manifolds for a Ford 351 Windsor. These things are great because we're gonna give you not only the power numbers, but also the price, so you can decide what works best for you. Now, I'm gonna tell you about the intake manifolds that we're gonna run today, and then I'll give you the basics of the engine that we're gonna run them on. These are all street-type intake manifolds for a Ford 351 Windsor. Now, I feel comfortable saying that the results that you're gonna see here will also match up for something like a 289 or a 302 that has a lower deck height than the 351. I think these manufacturers all use similar designs for both the low-deck Windsor and for the 351. These are all dual planes. They're all for basic cruising, lower RPM engines, and we haven't got into single planes at all. I've sort of ranked them in order here based on the price that we got them from summitracing.com. There is the basic Edelbrock Performer, which is the lowest rise, lowest performance intake manifold here, but I chose it because Ford guys often have hood clearance problems, like on Mustangs and things, and having that carb pad height just be like 3/4 of an inch lower can make a difference. So we're gonna find out if that one's worth it for you, even though it's probably gonna make the least power. That one is $309.95 at Summit, making it the most expensive manifold in the shootout. The next one up is also an Edelbrock. It's the Performer RPM, the taller, more high RPM oriented intake manifold. That one is $304.95 at Summit Racing. Moving down the line to cheaper stuff, we get the Wyand Stealth intake. That one is $262.99 at Summit. And finally, there is the Professional Products Typhoon, and that one is our cheapest unit at $255.95. So the engine we're gonna run all of these on is that. It is a stock 351 bottom end, cast pistons, about 9.5 to 1 compression, nothing special. The power comes from those Airflow Research 165cc cylinder heads, and it's got a hydraulic roller camshaft from Comp Cams. It is their XR282. Every time we run one of these intake manifolds, we'll be topping them with my favorite carburetor, the Holley XP, in a 750 double pumper. We've got MSD ignition, we'll have long tube open headers on it. This thing should make in the neighborhood of 430 pound-feet, 430 horsepower. It's what it typically runs. And that is like right at the crossover point and RPM range, because this runs just a tick over 6,000, where you gotta decide between a single plane and a dual plane. And that means we're really gonna be taxing the airflow of all of these. So the one that makes the most power is definitely the best intake manifold. We're gonna bolt up the Performer first, slam it onto the 351, and roll that junk into the dyno cell. Okay, bros, you ready for Ford intake manifold shootout?
I love Fords.
You love them?
I love them.
All right.
They're almost as good as a big block Chevy.
It'd be better if it was a 5.0.
Well, or a 429 Boss.
Or that, yeah. Yeah, so it's just a 351, and right now we got that Pucci Edelbrock Performer on there. Of the 4 intakes we're gonna test, I feel confident saying this one's gonna make the least average power.
I haven't even looked at the Pro products. I'm familiar with the other 2 manifolds already.
They're usually
Is the
pretty
Pro
good.
products a knockoff of a Performer RPM air gap or something?
They're not air gaps, they're just RPMs.
Okay,
Yeah.
Performer RPM.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So we've seen this engine make 430 horsepower in a past configuration. It's different now. It's got a 165 head on it instead of the 195. So I don't know what's gonna happen.
I guess we find out.
All right.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
That's not bad.
Pretty good.
Wow, I look like a chump. I didn't think this intake would make 400 horsepower. I really didn't.
It's a nice curve, too. It made good torque. It was just good everywhere.
So this is way better than expected. Look at that.
Look how clean the curve is.
That's what I'm saying. It's a
And
beautiful
then
curve.
Look at that torque hump there at 3,900 RPM. It's nice.
So we just made 425.2 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM and 419.8 horsepower up at 6,100 RPM. I
think stretch is pretty good.
did not see that kind of power spread coming out of this intake manifold.
You know what I'm impressed with? That's a 2,100 RPM spread
Right.
between peak torque and peak power.
Which is probably more a function of the camshaft and cylinder head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the fact that that intake manifold could pull off 420 horse nearly,
And make it 6,100.
I'll
Good
eat
stuff.
my words. I mean, I still think the others are going to be better, but that's mind-blowing that it was
pretty good.
capable to do that
Pretty
much.
good,
Yeah, no, I'm pretty
It's
happy.
going to be fun. We hadn't done any Ford intake stuff yet, and be good to see.
Yeah. All right, let's go pick another one to install.
Let's flip coins.
What's next?
You want to flip a coin for which one to install next?
Nah, you'll decide anyway.
I have selected the manifold that I believe will be the next worst in line.
Should we guess? Can we guess?
I will say that they're all pretty similar, but they are different. Guaranteed different. Which one do you think I picked?
Professional pro products.
Professional products. Yep.
Okay.
I will say all these next three manifolds are extremely similar,
Look really
but I
similar.
very carefully studied what's going on in the plenum and the transitions and the port mouths in here and the floor design, and I'm gonna guess this is the next in line.
The particular China rail gap on this intake manifold and cylinder head combination is about this tall. The China rail itself was fairly narrow, so what we're having to do is kind of patching one together, kind of building a wall. I put some silicone down, then patched a cork in, then I'll put silicone on top of that to build it up. I've done this before, and it sticks and holds and does a great job.
So we've gone with the cork and the sauce. Extreme measures here on Engine Masters.
Okie doke, I've got the manifold here. This is the Pro Products. We're gonna go in the control room and see what it does.
Right, we got that Pro Products on there. I think it's gonna be better than the Performer, but not as good as the stuff we're testing later in the day. But I've already been proven wrong once, so why do I keep
You know,
speaking?
this intake manifold thing is always surprising. It's hard to just look at something and know what's better. But
Oh, Dulcich
it looks
can.
decent. Well, but that's Steve Dulcich.
Right.
You know, we're mere humans.
Oh, you guys,
You're the all-knowing engine
I
master.
really appreciate that, but I find it very hard to pick out on this particular test because the manifolds
Yeah.
are so similar in configuration.
But if you really dig deep in that plenum, there's some differences. All right, let's fire it up and find out.
Okay.
Less chatter, more action.
Wow.
Here's our results with the Pro Products Power Plus. It made 431 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM, and then it tickled another 100 RPM higher than the Performer intake, making 435.7 horsepowers at 6,200 RPM. But the real tale is going to be when we overlay these curves with the ones from the prior intake manifold, the Performer.
Wow.
There you go. That's the Performer in red versus the Pro Products manifold in black. You can see it's a huge difference
So far, you're right.
so far.
Well, that may be hard to beat, actually.
Yeah,
that
that's
Pro
pretty good.
Products is it's an animal. Look at that number, 435.7.
And you know, I always worry on this show that people look at that graph that shows the plus number peak to peak, and they don't get the whole story of how much more power is really there throughout the curve.
Yeah, it started diverging right here, and I think that's an airflow demand, and this manifold has the ability to do that, and the other one was a smaller volume-wise manifold and can't flow as much, but then the curves diverge, and gosh, that's 15 horsepower
Yeah.
difference. And it didn't lose anything at 3,000.
Not at all.
So it's just a win-win-win.
Stout. Okay,
stuff.
we won't know how good it is, though, until we try the next one.
Unknown manifold. Yeah.
I will surprise you once again with which manifold I'm going to choose.
What that really means, Steve, is go change this manifold, get it ready while he brings the other one
which
in.
one to get, right?
Well, now that you mention it, that is sort of a collateral effect of me having to pick.
The benefits of being the picker.
Yeah. All right, let's tear it apart.
Okay.
Manifold number 3 coming next. Okay, guys, I'm surprising you with my next choice.
It's a 50-50 chance.
It is
It's either the Edelbrock or the Wyand, and I'm going to say the Wyand.
the Edelbrock RPM. Now, by power of deductive reasoning, you would realize this means I think the Wyand might make a little more power. Which is weird, because this is the standard.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah,
I get to do the drop Freiburger?
you do.
Man, I've graduated.
Our third intake manifold here is the one that we normally consider the best overall for a street engine under 6,500 RPM. It's the Edelbrock Performer RPM dual plane. And the reason why I told those guys it was a surprise that I would pick this one is normally we would run it last, expecting it to make the most power, and it might. But I was looking at this versus the Wyand, and I don't know, I just had a hint of an inclination that the Wyand might make a speck more power, so we're gonna run the Edelbrock as the third intake. All right, this is the gold standard, the Edelbrock RPM.
It's the one everybody uses.
It's one I always recommend.
Yeah. But looking at these other two manifolds, I think it's got some competition here.
It does.
I'm just kind of going to have to reserve judgment until I see what we've got from the dyno.
He's smart. Okay.
Well, thank you,
I'm
Robert.
itching. I'm itching.
We're there. We're ready to run.
Run it.
It's good.
It's good. Is it better enough? Okay, well, here's the peak power numbers with the Edelbrock RPM. 435.7 pound-feet of torque at 4,100 RPM, and up top 435.2 horsepower at 6,200. But what we gotta know is how it compares to that last Pro Products manifold. So we're gonna overlay the two here.
That's what I was seeing.
Interesting.
Wow.
So the black lines here are the Edelbrock Performer RPM. Red lines are the Pro Products intake manifold. Look at all of that meat in the torque curve right there with the Edelbrock.
Guys pay a lot of money for that. I mean, that's a huge difference.
Yeah. That's
Kind of
big.
what I was seeing as the RPM went by is this torque in here, and then the peaks look the same.
Yeah, and up top, the horsepower is negligible. Actually, the Pro Products is just a little higher after peak, but insignificant. Wow, that's interesting. So this is the difference in $50 and American-made Edelbrock versus Chinese Pro Products.
That's a $50 difference?
I'd spend the $50.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. That's a lot of meat in the torque curve right there.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
That's why it's the gold standard, right?
I guess so. So I feel comfortable saying that the RPM wins that contest, and you'd probably notice it, maybe not just driving around the car, but at the drag strip. I think that's worth a little.
Yeah, it's a bunch.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't give it away even just knowing.
Right.
I mean, how do you give away
Right.
15 for $50?
Yeah, you can't. Now the heat is on me, though, because I claimed that the Wyand might be just a skosh better. Can I define skosh? Can I
Yes.
go down to like half a number?
No.
Is that okay?
I had my $5 bill out, so I don't know.
So interesting. Next up, we have to go install the Wyand. I don't know what the fancy name is for the Wyand.
You bought it.
I know. It's
Stealth.
Is it a
stealth? Is it a stealth?
I think.
All right, moving on to the Wyand intake now.
Swap them out.
Now it's just parts.
Well, on the dyno, we often get away with reusing intake gaskets over and over and over, but we've hit our limit. So for our final manifold change here, we're actually installing new ones. I need the Wyand to work so that I look like the airflow soothsayer.
The manifold whisperer.
Exactly.
That's a worthy goal, Freiberger. We're about to find out whether or not it's true.
All right, here we go with the Wyand Stealth intake that I'm hoping makes a tiny bit more power because I believe it's got a little bit bigger runner size and a little bit more plenum volume.
Well, I wish you luck with it, Freiberger. I mean, I really
I've got no idea.
I want this win on your ticket here.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Freiberger.
All he cares about is the peak power number.
It looked like
That's the only reason you're happy, huh?
Right, that's the only reason. Let's have a look. All right, our Wyand Stealth intake manifold. Here's our peak numbers: 426.5 pound-feet of torque at 4,100 RPM, and up top 436.7 horsepower at 6,100 RPM, thereby making me look like the Nostradamus of intake manifolds,
Wow,
at least as far as peak horsepower goes.
How did you predict that, Freiberger? It's uncanny. Wow.
Hard to say, but let's look at the overlay because I have a feeling that the
I don't
torque
think the torque is quite
not
as good.
quite where I wanted it to be. Whoa, there you go.
Whoa. Oh my
So
goodness.
the Wyand is the black line and the Edelbrock is the red line. So even though the Wyand tickled a little bit more horsepower up at the top,
One.
that volume I was talking about in the runners and the plenum absolutely destroyed the torque down here. So you gotta say the overall winner is our old standard, the Edelbrock Performer RPM.
By a long shot. Look
By
at the
a long
torque
shot.
difference.
There's as much as 15 here.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking at 415 versus 432, 17.
Yeah.
Like 434,
Now that's
419.
the-
Yeah.
That's massive.
Well, you know what
Yeah.
that is? That's the difference between a power curve and a magazine number, basically.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, look at that.
I mean, it tickled up maybe 2 horsepower, which really, even though it makes me win, it doesn't matter whatsoever when you look at this.
If we looked at the average numbers, it'd be a whole different
It'd
story.
be hideous.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here's the question. If this was a 408 and had a slightly bigger cam, would the Wyand be the right thing to run? No?
I think
Still?
it does the same thing.
Think it does the same thing?
yeah.
I think it may
Yeah.
just do everything, you know,
Shove it
a
up and
little
down.
earlier.
Yep.
But I think the characteristics would be the same.
Well, the thing I feel good about is that we always say the Edelbrock Performer RPM is the manifold to choose, and you don't go wrong, and I think this backs that up.
You know, I don't know what sort of math they use, but they did it right on Fords and Mopars and Chevys and big blocks and small blocks, and it's just
Everything.
amazing, really, how universal that thing is.
So next up, I think we need to look at how the Wyand did compared to the Pro products intake. Oh, snap.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Pro products is better than the Stealth, below 4,000 RPM and identical up top. Interesting. I wonder if that has to do with the larger plenum size and runner size that I was observing in the Wyand.
Yeah, you would you'd think that, but then wouldn't you also think that it might carry a little bit more at the top if it's,
There
if
you
it's a
have it,
volume
yeah.
situation?
Yeah, it's
so.
just not as
yeah.
good at the bottom and pretty close from the mid-range on up.
Interesting. Here's the last thing I want to do. Let's compare the Performer RPM versus the Performer, our best and our worst.
Okay.
Let's have a look. Look at that. Mm-hmm. That explains a lot. Back down here where there isn't that much airflow demand, they're much closer and they get further and further apart as they climb. So the black lines here are the Performer RPM and the red line is the regular Performer. So if you are a Ford guy looking for a lot of hood clearance and you need that Performer, you now know exactly what you're giving up. And here's something you guys don't know. You know what the most expensive manifold is that we tested here?
The Performer.
The Performer at $309.95 at Summit Racing, and the RPM is $304.95.
Well, it's $4.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You talked about a bigger motor, and I said that I thought they would do kind of the same thing. If it were a 289 cubic inch engine with these manifolds on it, do you think that we're going to see that sort of difference when there's not the same air demand? I think the
narrow up.
Performer does better.
Yeah, it'll narrow up.
You think it does better?
I think it tightens up the difference.
It tightens up the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But here's the other thing I've always said is no matter how lame your engine is, you can't really go wrong with the RPM.
No.
You and I tested one a long time ago on a stock Chevy 305 that made like 280 horsepower. And actually the RPM was the same as their Performer. It just made no difference.
Okay.
Which is why I think if you're gonna spend the money, you might as well get the better one, and it looks cooler anyway.
Yeah, it does look cool.
What's it all about, right?
Well, good stuff.
Yeah, that was a really good test. I love doing these head-to-head shootouts, and I think it's interesting that the Performer RPM won when we did the Chevy, and it did it again on the 351 Ford.
The thing I like about this is it's engine specific. The guy with a 351 gets to see which manifold he wants to choose. It's not theory, it's not kind of guessing at things. I mean, it's A/B testing.
It's exactamundo. Cool. Thanks,
Done.
Brulio.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. See you
All right,
next time.
Steve-o.
Just the facts, Dulcich.
Okay.
The
what?
data bears it out. The Edelbrock Performer RPM is the clear winner. The data proves it.
Well, yeah, it's the old standard, and it's kind of nice to see it win. But for me, there's a whole nother takeaway, and that's you've got 4 intake manifolds that virtually to the untrained eye look identical. But there's 16 horsepower difference top to bottom, which is a lot.
Huge, yeah, all through the curve.
So you can't just pick your favorite logo and just slap it on, right?
Well, you can, apparently, if it's Edelbrock.
Well, I guess you're right.
The thing I really like about episodes like this is I think there's a lot of outlets that are scared of doing the brand-to-brand shootout, and we just walk full face right into it.
Oh yeah, no fear.
No fear. That's what you get every time on Engine Masters.
I don't know what the beef is here, but
Really?
if you have
wanna go
something,
there?
if you have something to say,
You wanna go there?
Why don't you just let it
I'm
out?
done here. Forget it.
Hey, you walk out of here, you're not coming back. There won't be a shop
I'm
to come
shutting the
back
shop
to.
down.
Hey, you're gonna
No,
have to.
it's
walk-
all over.
You're walking
It's
past.
all
you're
over.
Walking past
It's
me.
over.
You're walking past me, buddy. All right, you're out the door. You know what? It's gonna be a lot better without that guy. Brule, you want to help me with this Ford?
I've roamed the dusty highways, chased the setting sun, lived 1,000 miles away before my heart begun. But nothing feels as real, no gold can match the prize, like hearing my little girl laugh and watching my baby boy rise. Ma's got supper cooking, Pa's hands are worn but strong. We sit around the table where love's been all along. The porch light's always waiting like a beacon in the night. Home is where the quiet speaks and the stars shine soft and bright. And I thank the Lord for simple things, a front porch swing and wedding rings, the smell of bread, the sound of rain, a dog that runs across the plain. No mansion high, no city gleam can touch the warmth of this sweet dream. Just a small house, a big sky, and love that never fades. Back home on the range, morning starts with roosters and coffee in Ma's hands. The kids chase down the chickens, barefoot in the sand. Pa teaches them the old ways, how to ride and how to mend. And I stand back just watching, proud to call them friends. We don't have much, but we've got it all. Pictures hang crooked on the wall, but every frame holds a here I'll stay through sun or rain, where hearts are full and none complain. With Ma and Pa and kids that play, we build this love the cowboy way. I packed my bags and left that town. The city lights, they pulled me down, but every night I still hear that sound of the crickets singing all around. My heart's been longing for the sky so wide, and that old dirt road where the memories hide. It's been a long time since I've seen that view, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm still me or you. Take me back to the old dirt road, where the wildflowers grow and the rivers flow, where the stars at night still shine so bright, and the air so sweet it feels just right. Take me back to where I'm free, back to the place that feels like me. I've been running, now I'm coming home. Take me back to the old dirt road. The city's cold and the nights are long. I've been away, but something's wrong. I miss the smell of the rain on the pine, and the way the fireflies would always shine. I know I've changed, but one thing's true, that old road's where my heart still grew. It's more than a path, it's my way back to everything I left behind but never lacked. Take me back to the old dirt road, where the wildflowers grow and the rivers flow, where the stars at night still shine so bright, and the air so sweet it feels just right. Take me back to where I'm free, back to the place that feels like me. I've been running, now I'm coming home. Take me back to the old dirt road. Now the roads are different and the lights are bright, but I know where my soul feels right. I'll trade all the gold for a life that's true. I'll always find my way back to you. Take me back to the old dirt road, where the wildflowers grow and the rivers flow, where the stars at night still shine so bright, and the air so sweet it feels just right. Take me back to where I'm free, back to the place that feels like me. I've been running, now I'm coming home. Take me back to the old dirt road. Take me back to the old dirt road, where I'm finally home.
I've been driving these same old highways, searching for your smile. Every mile reminds me how you make it worth the while. Your laugh's the morning sunrise, chasing all my blues away. Girl, I swear I'll ride beside you, come whatever comes our way. When the sun hangs low and shadows grow, I'll hold you close and true. A compass in my heartbeat, darling, always pointing home to you. I'll love you forever on these back roads, through the storms and sunlight glow, hand in hand beside the river, where the tall pines whisper low. No matter where this journey leads us, dance around the fire, your head upon my chest. Stars keep watch as we confess what's written and in our best. Your tears are gentle rivers, I'll be the one to catch each one. With every dawn I'll prove my vow until this life is done. When the rain comes pouring down and doubts begin to rise, I'll shelter you beneath my love, the shelter of my eyes. I'll love you forever on these back roads, through the storms and sunlight glow, hand in hand beside the river where the tall pines whisper low. No matter where this journey leads us, every turn I'll choose you still, 'cause you're the one I'm living for, you're the promise I fulfill. Under magnolia moonlight, we'll dance where fireflies roam, two hearts beat in wild harmony, singing we're never ever alone. Let the gravel crack beneath these boots and the whistle of the train carry our devotion down the line like a sweet enduring refrain. I'll love you forever on these back roads, through the storms and sunlight glow, hand in hand beside the river where the tall pines whisper low. No matter where this journey leads us, every turn I'll choose you still, 'cause you're the one I'm living for, you're the promise I'll fulfill. I'll love you forever on these back roads, through the storms and sunlight glow, hand in hand beside the river where the tall pines whisper low. No matter where this journey leads us, every turn I'll choose you still, 'cause you're the one I'm living for, you're the promise I'll fulfill. Yeah, darling, forever on these back roads, just me and you.
You gave me boots before I could stand, held my hand and taught me how to be a man. Work that land with blood and grace, put dreams in my heart and strength in my place. Mama's hands were soft but warm, she kissed my scrapes, weathered every storm. Daddy's eyes were tired but proud, taught me right from wrong, to stand out from the crowd. So I ride these roads with your love in my veins, through every joy, through all the pain. No matter how far these trails may weave, I carry your hope, your faith in me. You gave me wings and a soul that believes, but I'm still anchored in the roots I'll never leave. You gave up dreams so I could dream, taught me life ain't always what it seems. Nights you stayed up just to pray that I'd grow strong and never lose my way. Now I've got a home, kids of my own, teaching them the love I've always known. Your voices echo in my home each night. Do good, be kind, and always do right. So I ride these roads with your love in my veins, through sunshine, snow, and Texas rain. I'll raise my boys and girls to see the kind of love you gave to me. I'll pass it down like you thank you, Ma and Pa, for all you gave, for sleepless nights and hearts so brave. Your sacrifice runs deep in me, a legacy carved in the old oak tree. Wherever I go, whatever I achieve, I'll water the roots I'll never leave. So thank you, Ma and Pa, for all you gave, for sleepless nights and hearts so brave. Your sacrifice runs deep in me, a legacy carved in the old oak tree. Wherever I go, whatever I achieve, I'll honor the roots I'll never leave. There's a tree on the hill where the winds always blow, a mighty old oak that's been standing slow. Its branches reach high, but its roots run deep through the heart of this land where the memories sleep. I've watched it grow, I've watched it stand. Through the years it's seen this land. It's more than a tree, it's the heart of our home, a place where the ones we love are never alone. The old oak tree by the riverside, where the stories of our past still collide. It's the family's backbone, the foundation we need, standing strong through every storm and every sea. Through the years, through the pain, it still stands tall. That old oak tree has witnessed it all. From the day we were born to the day we'll leave, that old oak tree will always believe. It's seen the children running round its roots, heard the laughter of our first pair of boots. It's felt the joy and the sorrow we've known, and the love that's been passed down to the bone. As the years roll on, the tree's still here, a symbol of family, a place so dear. When the world feels lost and I'm far away, I know that old oak will call me home someday. The old oak tree by the riverside, where the stories of our past still collide. It's the family's backbone, the foundation we need, standing strong through every storm and every sea. Through the years, through the pain, it still stands tall. That old oak tree has witnessed it all. From the day we were born to the day we'll leave, that old oak tree will always believe. When life gets heavy and the road gets long, I'll find my way back to where I belong. Under its shade I'll rest my soul, 'cause the old oak tree has made me whole. The old oak tree by the riverside, where the stories of our past still collide. It's the family's backbone, the foundation we need, tractor hums as the day goes by underneath that big old country sky. The scent of hay and the sound of rain, there's nothing like the peace of the country lane. Evening falls with the fireflies, stars above paint the velvet skies. We gather around with family dear, sharing stories, bringing love near. Life in the fields, it's simple and sweet, where the grass is green and the world feels neat. With a shovel and plow, we work the land, building dreams with our own two hands. Oh, this is where I wanna be. Life in the fields, wild and free. Seasons, we stand strong. We keep each other where we belong. From the harvest to the winter snow, we've got the love that helps us grow. Life in the fields, it's simple and sweet, where the grass is green and the world feels neat. With a shovel and plow, we work the land, building dreams with our own two hands. Oh, this is where I wanna be. Life in the fields, wild and free. So here's to the land, the sun, the rain, dirt beneath our feet, and the sweet refrain. Life in the fields, it's all we need. We've got everything in this simple creed.
I walk down to the water's edge, where we carved our names in the riverbed. The willow sways just like your hair, and I swear I still feel you there. The breeze, it hums that old sweet tune. We used to dance beneath the moon. I close my eyes, the past rolls in like your soft voice on southern wind. I'm singing to the river, not to forget, but to remember where my heart's been kept. Each note a tear, each chord a trace of your laugh, your touch, your warm embrace. You're long gone, but love don't lie. And rivers hold what can't say goodbye. So here I stand by current and pine, singing to the river, like you're still mine. That worn out dock still knows our feet, the one where summer felt so sweet. But time don't stop and hearts still break like morning fog that won't stay late. I ain't asking dusty road where the sun set low. You caught my eye with your gentle smile, and I knew I'd love you all the while. The breeze that whispered your name, I knew my heart would never be the same. Where the heart belongs, that's where I'll be, right by your side for all eternity. In your arms I found my home. With you, love, I'll never roam. Where the heart belongs, it's you and me. We've got a love that's soft and true, like a melody that feels brand new. Every moment with you feels so right. I could stay here in your arms tonight. The stars above are shining bright, but none of them compare to your light. Where the heart belongs, that's where I'll be, right by your side for all eternity. In your arms I found my home. With you, love, I'll never roam. Where the heart belongs, it's you and me. And when the world feels cold and wild, I'll find my peace with your tender smile. No matter where life takes us next, you'll always be the love I'll protect. Where the heart belongs, that's where I'll be, right by your side for all eternity.